guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we are going to be comparing a Freeride board versus a Freestyle board. We're going to cover the main differences between a Freeride board and a Freestyle board. And to spice things up, we put a couple woos on each, and we're going to see which board outperforms the other. Obviously, woo meters differ from real meters if you've seen our previous woo video, and we're going to touch on the accuracy of those little devices a little bit later on in the video.
The boards we're comparing today are the Flysurfer Radicall 6 and the Flysurfer Rush. The Radicall 6 is marketed as a Freeride air style and light wind board. The Rush is marketed as a freestyle and big air board.
Full disclosure, we are Flysurfer ambassadors, which is why we've chosen these two boards. A couple other things to note is that the Radicall 6 is slightly longer, it's a 138, whereas the Rush is a 137. And we chose to ride both boards with straps, as we don't own boots.
Also, we're just your average kiters. We aren't doing any handle passes or crazy tricks. If you're looking for a true freestyle kiter's opinion, you won't find it here. Our original intention with this video was to get super technical and to compare a 3-stage rocker versus continuous rocker, as well as looking at the stiffness, the channels, and the tips. We dove into online research and started reading a lot of technical reviews on Freeride versus Freestyle boards. It wasn't as straightforward as we thought, as boards have many features, and it's the combination of these features that affect the overall performance.
Honestly, it became pretty confusing pretty quickly as there's a lot of conflicting information online. Plus, what does it really matter what someone has to say when we have both boards here and ready to hit the water? We took both boards out in a variety of conditions and came to our own conclusions based on our experience. Not surprisingly, the Freeride board was able to go upwind better than the Freestyle board. The Radicall 6 has less rocker than the Rush, and therefore it makes more contact with the water. The flatter the board, the better the upwind ability.
This is why the big door boards are completely flat, and they'll get you going upwind in even the lightest of winds. Given that we were aware of the style of riding each board was designed for, we kind of assumed that this would be the case. Nikita tried both in what we call bare minimum wind. On the Radicall 6, he was able to hold his position and come back to the beach where he started. On the Rush, he only lost a couple meters downwind.
This actually exceeded our expectations for the Freestyle board.
The Rush performed better in chop and just feels like a smoother, more controllable board in these conditions.
It's not to say that the Freeride board didn't perform well in chop, because it did, but the difference was noticeable.
In flat water, we like the control of the Freeride board due to the low rocker. It gripped the water better than the Rush, which, in addition to having more rocker, also has smaller fins, which means less grip to the water and a more slippery feel.
Freestyle board had softer landings. Both boards are double concave, which helps produce softer landings. That's not to say the Radicall 6 has rough landings, but comparing the two, we'd have to say the Rush was softer. It makes sense as a lot of freestyle kiters kite with boots and do fast tricks, so soft landings are essential. Back to our original question, which board jumps higher? In our subjective opinion, both Nikita and I felt that we jumped higher on the Rush. We were coming into this with some confirmation bias, so in order to test this as fairly as we could, we did the unthinkable.
We took our woos out of storage, dusted them off, and attached 2 to each board, 1 woo 2 and 1 woo 3 per board. We went out at the same time in the same wind and did a bunch of jumps, then we swapped boards and did a bunch more jumps. If the Freestyle board indeed jumps higher, then the average height of each of our sessions with a Rush should be higher for both of us. And sorry to be anticlimactic, but that's exactly what happened. On all 4 woos, the Rush outjumped the Radicall 6 anywhere from 11 to 35%. If wind had been a factor, we would have expected that the Radicall 6 would have outperformed on 2 of the 4 woos, but that didn't happen. Of course, if you've seen our previous woo video, you know woo meters and actual meters don't always match up. The fact that it's nearly impossible to test for the accuracy of these devices in the real world makes you wonder how on earth the woo team calibrate woo meters to actual meters to begin with. With that being said, for this experiment, I think the woos were pretty useful as we were focusing on the average height of the jumps for a number of jumps and not the highest jump.
If you haven't seen our woo video yet, make sure you check it out. The link's just right up here. You may be surprised to find out that in both my opinion and Nikita's opinion, both the Freestyle and Freeride boards are more similar than they are different. There are differences between the two boards, but they're not as big as you might expect them to be. This was especially noticeable when comparing them back to back in the same conditions using the same kite. Yes, the Freeride board goes upwind better and Freestyle board jumps higher, but it's not like you'll be jumping double the height on the Rush or going a mile further upwind on the Radicall 6. It seems to us that the boards have come to such a point where the differences are subtle and refined. It's hard to say which board I prefer the most. As Nikita said,
I like both of them, really.
The Radicall 6 is dependable in that I know it will perform reliably across a variety of conditions. It's a good all-around board that never disappoints. Being said, if the wind is strong, I'm gonna reach for the Rush.
All right, guys, let us know what style of board you prefer riding. Do you like freeride, freestyle, maybe foil board, or something else? Let us know in the comments below. All right, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this coming soon, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.